Hey guys, this is going to be second part, just because the first one was so long. Domestic violence. So, I think most of you are pretty familiar with the Ray Rice situation. Essentially, he beat his then fiance. He knocked her out cold. She was just lights out, just like that. One punch, bang. And it looks as if the NFL has lied about how much they knew. And it's caused some speculation that Roger Goodell should be fired. Here's the thing. Basic law of economics and business. You are going to do what is the most profitable venture. It does not look good for the NFL to suspend a player it doesn't look good for them to suspend anybody. Ray Rice has value. He has value to that business. You do not want to lose that person for the sake of your business. So if that video were not to come out, it looks okay. Ray Rice and Janae Rice say it's nothing much. It was something small. You know, she was drunk, she slipped, she bumped her head, whatnot. This whole thing, nobody really cares that much, and it goes on. And the NFL doesn't lose anything. That's the path they chose. They took a calculated risk here. They said, we're going to try and keep this in-house, cover it up, make it go away. Or, on the flip side, is if they catch us, we're in deep trouble. So then what do? Is they deny that they had any, known facts about what happened during that. That we didn't see the video, despite the fact that every source around them had it, and that it wasn't this bad. Ray Rice lied, so now you're making the villain into Ray Rice. So originally, there was no villain, there was no problem, this was a minor little thing. And then, okay, Ray Rice, he lied, he did all this, the NFL's good, holy, whatnot. We protect our owners, we protect our players, we're strong on domestic violence, we apologize, we got it wrong, and now we're going to donate $10 million to domestic violence abuse. It's all about the money, okay? It's all about the money. It comes in all points of business. Your goal is to give the least amount of product or service for the most amount of money. That's how you maximize your profits. It is. If I can get away with giving up a half a cup of Cheerios for $3.99, that's a lot better than me giving up 10 cups of Cheerios for $3.99. That means I have more stock, less labor going into producing whatever product I'm making, and I get more money for that. That's the same thing in the NFL. I don't want to have to go suspend some, important part of my business, which is Ray Rice. He was a face of the Baltimore Ravens. He's a running back. He's a well-known running back. He's a star. He's somebody that you put on commercials. He's somebody that was popularized by the NFL. You don't want him to go away because he is money to you. He can cost you money, or he can make you money. And in this case, the NFL tried to continue to make the money off of him. And then when they got caught, then they knew they're losing Ray Rice. They're losing that profit because he is no longer going to be wanted by the sponsors, by the commercials, by the TV people, by the fans. So they say, he's the villain. We're good, he shamed us all, and you should join us in the NFL to protect against domestic violence. And from a legal standpoint, this is the problem, is that only 1% of offenders of that violent of a nature of a crime get counseling. 1%, less than 1% of all offenders that commit assault, and that was assault on another human being, get punishment like that. With that video, is it not clear-cut enough evidence to say that that man assaulted her with the intent to cause harm? You have to have had the intent to cause harm to knock a woman senseless like that. You have to. That was your intent. You wouldn't have struck her like that if you didn't. And not only that, he's dragging her around like a sack of potatoes, as somebody said. He's standing there over her, kicking her legs out of the elevator. Does that show remorse? I mean, I could only imagine if something snapped in your head to where you spun around and struck somebody. I would be scared shitless. I would think, oh my God, look what I just did. This guy didn't do that. He starts kicking her legs out because they're inconveniencing the elevator for other people. That's not a sign of remorse. That's not a sign of this is a one-time deal. How often is domestic violence related to just one incident? This is the first incident that we saw out in public. How many times do you think behind closed doors he's bashed her face in? I would think it's more than once. Do you think he's going to learn his lesson by having to go to counseling with his own fiancée, who's now his wife? Do we really expect that we're going to treat the victim and the person that assaulted them the exact same way? It was mandated that he go to counseling with her. So she's getting the same punishment as him. How is it that the victim gets treated the exact same way by the legal system as the perpetrator? I mean, if somebody comes over and robs your house, what, now I have to go to jail because I got robbed? What's the idea behind that? Where is the lesson learned by doing that? Counseling is something that you do because you both want to make something work. Counseling is not a form of punishment. And that's where I struggle with this, is the legal system, it really let me down. And the fact that it looks really bad that money can buy your way out of a punishment. The man should be in jail. The NFL shouldn't have been involved in this because Ray Rice should be locked behind bars. As a family member of Janae Rice, as her mother or her father or her brother or her sister or as her aunt, her uncle, her grandmother, her grandfather, I would be outraged. There is no way I am letting her go back into that situation. I am fighting tooth and nail, let alone getting married to the guy. Show something. But don't come off and say that they're the victims of the media. I mean, come on. The thing with domestic violence victims is that it's normally not the first time that they've been abused. Not only is it probably not the first time they've been physically abused, but there's emotional trauma in there too. They feel lost. They feel stuck, like they don't have a choice. Whether they feel like the perpetrator is going to do something to their family, is going to do something more severe if they choose to leave. And now we as society are saying, it's all on her. She has to choose to leave. We're not going to give her help in that way. Well, when you have a kid who's getting abused, it's different in the fact that we pull them out of that situation. Child Protective Services will not let it happen. The parent doesn't get to see them if they've abused them. There is no choice behind the matter. But then we put it all up onto this woman to choose whether or not she should stay or she should leave. How many outside influences do you think are affecting that? Ray Rice's agent has skin in this game too. The NFL has skin in this game. Janae's family has skin in this game. There are so many more people that have skin in this game where they can lose money and have a reason to want to keep her in that relationship. But we're not going to go out there and protect her? At least put that perpetrator behind bars for a little bit? It doesn't make sense to me. And that's where I'm outraged. Is that we put it all on her. We're saying you have got to stand up, make him punish him for doing these things. It's all on you, your choice, no doubt about it. And she chose not to. Is that surprising from somebody who's being abused? Somebody who's probably fears for their life, or fears for their children's life, or fears for their family's life because of what this man did? I would think so. I don't think that's fair to put it on her. Because what's going to happen? Let's say this marriage does end and she gets strong and she decides to leave him. Something like that. By telling him, every time you smack up a woman or you abuse somebody, go to counseling. It was half their fault. What do you think he's going to do the next time? What, you think all of a sudden because he went to counseling he's learned his ways and he is perfect, person now? No! For God's sakes, Michael Vick put two dogs together and make them fight and bet on it. That's the trouble that I get with the domestic violence. It's an issue we have here, and nothing happens until the victim presses charges. It should not be a victim's job to decide whether somebody should be punished. That's the court's job. I don't know why the courts lay it off onto the victim. If he beat her a little harder, she'd be murdered. Is it still her fault? So that's where I'm going to leave it at there. That's the problem I have with it. It's not the NFL's job to be the law. It's not the NFL's job to suspend players or to punish them for what they have done. What the NFL does when they suspend somebody is to make them consider a different choice so that the NFL does not lose money based on their choices. Because they are the face of a company. But it's not the NFL's job to do the court's job. It's just a lot of people are aggravated by the whole Gordon situation with his use of marijuana, and that he got a season's worth of penalties. The reason that he got that suspension from the NFL was because he's consistently losing them money by using pot, being a bad example for kids. Mothers not liking that the NFL endorses players that smoke pot, and that he does it over and over and over and over and over again. That's when the NFL, I think they have every right to come in and suspend him for a full season. They don't want to be associated with pot use. They've made that very clear. If my employer says they don't want to be associated with wearing pink every day, then they have a right to fire me for wearing pink every day. It's so terribly unfortunate, and I just wish that rather than focusing on what the NFL is doing or what the leagues are doing, focus on why this isn't a punishable offense. Why we didn't punish him. Just my 2 cents. Thanks, guys.